What's up, you guys? It's Kristen, and welcome to the Healthy for the Holidays workshop series, where we are talking about four different areas that are essential for staying healthy during the holiday season. So, today we are talking about family. Oh, the good old family, right? As a licensed marriage and family therapist, this is something that I am continually preparing and working with my clients on, especially now leading up to the holiday season. Family is a loaded word. It's there's a lot of context and a lot of history that comes along with this, and I know sometimes the holiday season leans toward a positive, uplifting experience, I guess, of a family and cherishing those moments with people. And although that is true, I also know that family can bring up a lot of stuff, and so I want to be cognizant of the fact that it can both can be true. You can be grateful for and excited to see your family and also have other more challenging feelings that come up around the holidays as it pertains to family. Some of us are going to be grieving during this holiday season. Some of us are going to be dealing with stress related to family or personalities or dynamics that bring up stress and um, communication issues or whatever the case may be with our family. And it really can be a tough time, but you're not alone in that. Okay. I don't know what maybe it may feel like, what Facebook may be showing you about the happy, smiling families, that are all around the world. But best believe that there are issues in every family, some large, some small, but there are issues in every family. And so don't feel isolated during this time, thinking that I'm the only one that's having to navigate the in laws or the only one that's having to figure out. If you're co parenting, where the kids are going to be and how that's going to be. There are a lot of people that are navigating that, and you can do this in a healthy way. You just have to follow the tips that I'm going to give you, but also you just have to allow for a lot of grace around this time and ultimately take care of yourself. So I'm going to get into my tips on navigating family during the holidays. I know we have to deal with family all throughout the year, but it's something about the holidays and the events and the closeness or the distance from family that can bring up a lot. I mean, really, we do talk about getting with family, but some of us may feel a bit withdrawn or disconnected or isolated from our family for reasons as well. And so we're going to talk about all of that. Number one, I would say, first and foremost for all of us is we have to set some boundaries around family. These could be physical, these could be financial, these could be emotional boundaries that you may need to set with your family. You've been working on yourself, you've been trying to make some positive changes, and sometimes our families aren't necessarily where we are with growth, with healing, with showing up in healthy ways. And this is where your own boundaries come into place. So I want you to reflect on what are some of the changes, whether that be, physical, emotional, whatever the case, what are some of the changes that I have made? I want you to name those things. Okay. We sometimes it can be easy to forget. You get around a familiar environment with familiar people that operate in a certain way. And sometimes it can make us like revert back, like, dang, I've been working on my communication all year long, using my I statements, journaling, processing, trying to show up in a different way. And then boom, I get around this one relative and it just brings out the old me. And next thing you know, I'm, in an unhealthy, communication situation with them or, showing up in ways that I'm not necessarily proud of. So I want you to first identify what positive changes have you made. What are your new values? Maybe you've been working on what's most important to you, and make sure you write those things down as a reminder of here's where I am. Okay. Regardless of the environment that I may find myself in, the conversations that I may need to have or not have, or whatever the case may be, here is where I am, here's what's true for me, and this is what I'm going to hold true for during this holiday season. Okay, you don't have to revert back. You don't have to show up in the ways that maybe are going to be modeled to you during this time. You can hold on to the growth and the healing that you have experienced this far. You just have to be a little bit more intentional about it. You may have to plan for some triggers. How am I going to handle these conversations as they come up with the new mindset that I've been working on all along? What am I going to do? What am I going to do differently? And how am I going to set boundaries around those things so that I'm not dealing with the negative impact of reverting to old ways or getting into conversations and arguments even, that don't serve me well. Something that I want to say about how this could look is an example would be limiting the time that you are with family. If you have a situation where it's a tough family situation, maybe there's some unhealthy behaviors that are going on, maybe there's, just un unresolved issues that are coming up, and sometimes we think we just have to stay in and white knuckle it through and just put up with whatever is happening around us. It's actually okay for you to set like a physical boundary, which would be, hey, we're going to go for 2 hours, we're going to go for 3 hours, we're going to stop by, but then we're going to leave. We're not going to stay until the day goes on and different things start to just naturally unfold. Maybe we're just going to plan to go from 2 to 4, and at 4 o'clock I'm going to leave. It could look like, hey, we are going to visit these family members, and you love them, maybe you love them just as much as anything, but you know that after a certain point, that's the cat. Y'all know the family members I'm talking about. It's like, yeah, we're cool. And then there's that certain line where it's like, all right, I think I've had my dose and it's time to go. So even if you're traveling in and you're planning to stay with a certain family member or whatever the case, maybe it's planning to do something to kind of switch up the vibe, switch up the energy. We're going to be at the house for a certain amount of time, and then maybe you find an outing or something to do to give yourself a break. This could also look like, opting to, if you can, opting to stay in a hotel instead of staying actually with family members. That way you have a place to go that's separate from whatever may be going on to, regroup, take care of yourself, have a break, relax, whatever the case may be. And then you can plan to return the next day instead of staying overnight and just constantly being in the family environment, if that is stressful to you. Now, some of us, and that may not be stressful. And so that wouldn't be for you. Maybe there's some other boundaries you might want to set. But if you're concerned for being overwhelmed or just, overdoing it with family, that might be an option that can give you a planned opportunity for relief. Sometimes for me, if I know I'm going to have a break coming up, it kind of just helps with navigating the entire situation. When I feel like, oh my gosh, I got to do this for 3 days and I'm going to wake up and it's going to be here again, that type of stuff can really kind of make it hard to just be present and to enjoy what there is to enjoy about your family. So the next thing I would say is discussing your travel plans early. Now, at this time, it may be cutting on, the deadline for deciding that, but go ahead and make up in your mind now, what are you doing for the holidays? All right. I know there's probably people reaching out. Are you coming? Are you coming? We're doing this, we're doing that. Go ahead and decide whether you're going to go, how long you're going to stay, how you're going to navigate that, and just decide. I know the back and forth, I don't know about for you, but sometimes that back and forth of indecision and just being on the fence, well, we might do this, we might do that, I'm not really sure. That just leads to more anxiety and more worry about what am I actually going to do. So sit down with yourself. If you're partnered, sit down with your partner, with your nuclear family, and go ahead and make a decision. This is what we're doing for this holiday. This is what we're doing for that holiday. That's it. That's it. There's no more debating. There's no more going back and forth. We'll see. You don't have to overcommit yourself. Here's what we're going to do. If you end up doing more than that, then you end up doing more than that, but you've already resolved to what the general schedule is going to be for you, and you cannot you can relieve yourself of the worry of what you're actually going to be involved in, so that you can go into number one, which was so you can set boundaries with the things that you are actually going to do. Go ahead and try to establish what your travel plans are going to be early. Are you having people at your place? Are you going somewhere? Are you staying there or are you not staying there? That sort of thing can kind of just take out all the extra noise in your mind so that you can focus on taking care of yourself and preparing for the things that you're actually going to be doing. Um, I would, in regards to that, I would say it's also okay that you can't be everywhere. Okay. I know everybody's having something, maybe there's, this holiday party and that holiday party, and this is happening with this sector of family, and this is happening with this sector of family. You cannot be everywhere. Okay. I know of it's happened in my family, and I've heard about plenty of other families where it's like the holiday schedule is like booked up from morning until night. We got to see that, we got to do our personal family stuff, then we got to see this person, then we got to see that person, then we got to see that person, and it just piles it up to where the holidays can feel just as stressful as work can. You know what I mean? Like it's booked up with family meetings all day. And although I know that we you know a lot of us, cherish and value the time spent with family, you do have to give yourself some grace that sometimes you just can't be five places in one day. This could even be, telling people, like, say, if you're going into town, if you live out of state from your family or something, and you're going to be going into town and staying at a certain local, central point. This may look like telling people, hey, this is where I'm going to be. You know, let people opt to come see you, especially if you're traveling. The people who are there didn't have to go anywhere. You know what I mean? This is their home. The people that are around in that city or town that you're visiting, they can probably see each other at different points that is not the holidays. Okay. If you're coming into town in a way that is not necessarily typical of the rest of the year, tell people where you're going to be, and allow people to alter their schedules to meet you halfway, to come to the house where we're going to be and visit for a few, instead of now we're getting a rental car, or we're in our own car driving everywhere to make sure we stop at every house in town to see this cousin, to see that family. Let them know where you're going to be. Some people might say, I don't want everybody to know where I am, and that's cool too, but I'm just giving you some options for like how you can set this up to where you're not frazzled and just super busy and overrun by the end of the holidays. Tell people where you're going to be at and allow them to make some changes to their schedule to come see you for a little bit. This could be out so that it's not actually where you're going to be staying. If you don't want to have, welcome a bunch of people into your space, this could be, hey, we're going to go to dinner here. You're more than welcome to join us, something like that, so that you're not having to, again, do like a world tour a world tour during the holidays to see everybody. Y'all know what I'm talking about with that one. The next thing I'll say is that emotions can be high during this time. There could be a lot of anxiety, a lot of sadness, even resentment comes up around this time of year. And so knowing that means that you're going to have to take care of yourself before, during, and after seeing family. Okay. So taking care of your emotional needs is essential to your health during this time. And sometimes we can kind of put that on hold, and we prioritize the people, places, and the things that accompany the holiday season. But your emotional world, your internal world is just as important. So whatever coping skills you have been working on up until this point, be sure to double up on them and to bring them with you. And also make sure that you're taking care of doing those things after you return from family. So if you're journaling, if you have therapy, if you have some other social circles that are supportive and therapeutic to you in some sense of the word, go ahead and schedule those things in too. Like, hey, whew, I know I'm going to have a lot of family, stuff coming up. Where is my next therapy session? Let me go ahead and book my therapy on the front end and on the back end, so that I know I have a place to debrief and process what I'm going through and get support. Or let me start to journal about what's coming up for me while I'm visiting. Bring your journal with you. bring your journal with you into wherever you are and journal at night. This is not a time to just completely abandon the things that have been keeping you well and the things you've been healing from just because it's busy. So bring that journal with you and write down your emotions as you're going through them. You know, today was a good day with family. I had this situation come up. This is how I felt. This is what was said. This is how I handled it. And this is what I need in order to replenish and take care of myself so that I can show up tomorrow or have a conversation with them or set a boundary with them. All right. And the last thing that I'll say about family is that sometimes we have to make peace with the family that we have. And sometimes we have to redefine what family is and what the holidays mean or what the holidays represent and how we move through them. The traditions around the holidays can be very hard to steer off from. You know, this is how we've always done it. We've always, whatever, we've always gone to this person's house. We've always had people over, or we've always been around this certain group, or we've never been around. And this is a time where redefining your family relationships might help you to accept who is healthy for you and who's not, who you can be around and who you can't, who you want to be around and who you don't want to be around. And just redefining that, hey, maybe we used to be close. I used to be able to tell them everything, or I used to, our kids used to be able to do so much more together. And now in this season, I'm having to redefine how close I can be with this person. And that's okay. Without doing that, we go into these same environments and we expect the person to be different. We expect the situation to be different. And then when it's not, we're left disappointed. We're left disappointed. We're left resentful. Maybe the sadness, around it is intensified because we just didn't prepare ourselves to see the relationship differently. And the reality is that relationships do change. Your role in your family will change, especially if you've been working on improving upon some things that you've experienced with your family, different traumas or abuse, even, that has happened. As you grow and as you heal, you will have to redefine how you connect with other people. Something that I've personally had to do with family, but just in general, I guess you could say, with my sobriety, is redefining what fun is, redefining like what activities I engage in during the holiday season and which ones I don't. I'm not saying that I'm completely like cut off from them, but I just engage in a different way because I do not drink anymore. So that's something that I've had to redefine. Like, how else can we connect if it's not through means of having a few drinks and just relaxing? What else can we do? And that's been a healthy shift for me. And thankfully, I've had family that have welcomed that and have encouraged that. And I know that may not be the situation for everyone, but the heart behind that is still healthy to redefine and reestablish boundaries according to those new definitions. So, those are my 5 tips for navigating family during the holidays, staying healthy with family during the holidays. And I'm going to recap them real quick. Number 1 is setting your boundaries: emotional, physical, financial, situational. Set your boundaries, be clear on who you are and how you want to show up, and set those values up where you can see them so that you can follow through on carrying them out when you're around other people. Number 2, discuss your travel plans early. Go ahead and make the decision. Where are you going? Where are you going to be? It's done. Let others know. They may be disappointed, but go ahead and let them know so that no one's waiting and anticipating if you're going to come or if you're not going to come. And most importantly, so that you can be free of having to decide and be pressured later. Number 3 is to focus on being present. You may not be able to be everywhere all at one time, and that's okay. Once you've decided where you're going to be, take a deep breath and just fully allow yourself to be there and to be fully engaged with what you have decided to do. And make peace with that. Make peace with that. We don't have clones yet. We can't be everywhere with everybody, and that's okay. The next one, of course, is taking care of yourself emotionally. Whatever coping skills toolbox you've built up over the last year, make sure that you are pouring into that side of you as you go into the holidays, during the holidays, and then also after. Don't just say, "Woo, that's over with, girl, I'm moving on." No, what happened? What happened? What came up for you? How did you handle it? What went well? What do you want to repeat next year? What do you not want to do next year? What conversations need to be had? All of that stuff, especially after, will be really important for not finding yourself in this same situation next year. And the last thing is acceptance. Acceptance around how your family may be, how you may need to be now in this season, and redefining your family relationships accordingly. Again, healthy doesn't always feel good, but healthy is what serves us best. So, those are my 5 tips. Thank you all for joining Healthy for the Holidays, the family workshop. Please take some time to follow the worksheet that is accompanying this video, and I'll see you in the next one.